Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harping on Rugby preview show on our YouTube channel. Please don't be shy with the like and or subscribe button if you can. Joining me to look ahead to Saturday's massive Six Nations clash at the Aviva Stadium is someone making Harper Pod appearance number 110. Welcome back to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan. And I think
Someone
he's that
learned how
way.
someone learned how to use Zoom. There we go. I got a new background. Uh,
Congratulations. Congratulations.
it's only 2025. We've only been at this 104 years, but look, finally got there. But yes, hope all is well.
Yeah. All is well indeed. Okay, listen, before we start, Keego, just want to get your thoughts on this whole sort of a mini row in the press during the week. Garry Ringrose ban and the whole French reaction to it.
Yeah, it's tricky one, isn't it? You can't compare them because they're not the same. It is what it is. But I also understand the cheekiness, chicanery, and you know what housery of saying he was going to play against Cardiff last weekend. As much as I would have loved to have seen him play, if that was the plan, it of course was not the plan, and
Mhm.
it's very very cheeky. But it's exactly what France have tried to do in the past with previous yellows and all that sort of stuff. So it is what it is. I just think the whole thing is stupid. The guy, it was a mistake. They took care of it on the pitch. The red card is there. Let's say it's a match, two matches, and that should be the end of it. Gary Ringrose doesn't need to go to tackle school. Gary Ringrose is one of the
You
greatest
should be
players to
given
ever
it.
play the game. End of story. He made a mistake. Even when you switch the jerseys, it's a mistake, and that's all it is. I just think it's a bit like the TMO we were talking just before we went on. Like sometimes one decision is all we need. 2 weeks, red card. If it's malicious, then that's when the commission comes in. That's when the meetings happen. But the Ringrose case was a mistake. 2 weeks off is fine. End of story. We shouldn't have to pretend we're sending emails to branches about playing against Cardiff or any of that nonsense. So yeah, it's annoying. But Ringrose needs tackle school like I need a Gillette sponsorship. I don't really need it. So yeah, it was stupid. Sorry, I'm getting angry now. It's stupid, and it's a waste of time. But there we
But
go. We get into this weekend.
I suppose we better move on. So, but it's let's just hope that there isn't an incident like that in this match, and let's
Yes.
let's let's move on to our feature match of the week, which is of course Ireland v France in round four of the 2025 Guinness Men's Six Nations Championship. Game is taking place at the Aviva Stadium on Saturday, March the 8th, kicking off at 2:15 p.m. TV coverage is on RTE2 and ITV1. Ireland named their matchday squad at lunchtime on Thursday. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be right there on the screen, or for pod listeners, you'll find it in the program notes. Now, Keego has picked out a few points about the Ireland team, starting with the bench selection.
Absolutely. So before we get into this, everyone who is lucky enough to have a ticket, get there early and make all the noise. That's the first thing.
Yep.
Second thing, the bench. I would have loved if we would have stuck with. I understand why, but I wish we would have had the confidence, the wrong term, but the whatever word is to stick with it, go with a 5-3 bench and show we're going to play ball. Now there's still very athletic bench, big, beefy, athletic bench. But you play with what's given. I just would have loved it. It would have been a great message to send out to say, like, we're not one of these teams that's going to go 7-1 or, 6-2 all the time. We're going to play our game, and you've got to combat us. That would have been a great message to send out. But again, it's a big day, big game, big team.
Yeah, I mean, I think France kind of signaled what they were going to do. They had a 7-1 bench against Italy, and I don't think it was any doubt that that was just sort of get them used to it.
Yeah.
Logistically, maybe for Ireland, they're always going to do it. So I suppose we knew we had to counter. I hope we never go for that 7-1. I
Yeah.
think it's too much of a risk. It's a risk versus reward situation, I suppose. And they calculate what they could do there. And yeah, no, I agree with you. But you see, again, that's having Crowley on the bench. That's one of there's a lot of talk about whether he should start, but if you're going to go 6-2, he's the guy to have because he can play 10, 12, 15. It's a curse. It's the
Yeah.
Frawley curse. Jamie Osborne has a bit of that as well. He got into the starting team, but like you say, it's a risk. We'll see if it pays out. Your second point is about the mentality of Irish fans going into this game compared to
Yeah,
others.
and I know there's kind of people and King Brian has been talking about. Well, the headline was a bit cheeky, but kind of a bit of arrogance creeping in. I don't think there's arrogance in Ireland's Irish support. I think we need to think the opposite way. So if you look at all the commentary outside of Ireland, outside of the Six Nations, let's say, it's all talking about how France are going to combat Ireland. And so we're talking about benches and how we're going to combat and all that sort of stuff. the world sees us very differently to how we see ourselves. And, maybe this is a bit of a hippie point, but we've got to start looking at it that way as well. France, France are not looking forward to tomorrow. They don't look at it as an easy day at the office. They know that things have to go 90% right for them to be in with a shot of winning this game. And this is France, who we're looking at with Dupont, with Entomac, with that front row, with that back row, with that back line. That's how they feel about us. So we've got to feel that way about ourselves. And I think it's something, I know there's questions regarding, Sam's tackling and things like that, and it was tough last week with Ringrose going off, things like that, 2 weeks ago. Sorry. It's tough. He had a lot more work to do than expected, but we need to think of ourselves the way the world thinks about us. No one wants to see a green jersey. No one fancies taking a shot at the green jersey, much like the complete opposite of generations gone by, where you and I would have watched teams relishing coming here for a few points and putting 50 points on Ireland. That doesn't happen anymore. So we need to change our thinking.
Yeah, I think that it could be that attitude going back to the low days of the 80s and the 90s might be bleeding through to now for older, because I've been talking to people during the week, and a lot of them are saying, oh Jesus, France going to beat us, France going to beat us, France. I said, have you seen the results? Have you been watching? But these are people who would be engaged and who will be watching at the weekend, but they just have this assumption that I mean, there's obviously several ways France can win at the weekend.
Yeah.
I think one big thing is we're talking about Ringrose. I am not saying for a second that Bundiaki and Robbie Henshaw can't defend, but I am saying when it comes to defending, Ringrose is at the level possibly where Dupont is as a 9. And when you take him out, and the one thing Dupont is really good at is broken play. So if when you get into those transition situations, we may be vulnerable. But that's a point. You can make 50 points the other way as well, where we can win. And that's the way we've got to look at it. And your third point is basically about Ireland's play variations.
Yeah, so a lot of people are talking about, and Easterby made a point to say that we're getting more out of less possession, less phases, less things like that. And that's all really well and good. Great to watch. It's always moving, and fitness is massive. But we can also still, if we need to, because I think I was watching a video earlier on where they say it's going to rain first half. If we need to do 115 phases, while it's not fantastic to watch, the team is still there to do that. So there's more options. When you look at what France have been doing, they've been kind of coming inwards and depending more on two players as opposed to everyone, going out wide, everyone being able to play, everyone being able to make a decision. They're all almost looking in one direction, that 9 and 10, for every decision. Whereas if you look at Ireland and you look at what the wingers have been doing over the last few years, especially, they come in and make decisions. All the players around the pitch can make a decision, and I do think it's gonna wear down. But we have more ways of playing now since Easterby came over, and I know we had a rough kind of November and a rough start to the competition, but we are coming into this. Our errors are really dropping. Our discipline, Ringrose aside, that we've spoken about, has really improved. And so, in order for France to beat us, they need to do more than usual. And I think it goes back to point number 2. But we have more ways to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what happened against Wales, in the second half, we were trying to run with the ball. We had a wraparound that went our ways, and it just wasn't happening. Wales went up the other end to open a 2-score lead, but we did change, and we went to a territory game. We were able to switch, and that's how we slowly ground them back in and created those scoring opportunities. Yeah, it's an interesting 23 overall. I mean, most of it would have been predictable. I'd say if I was have one concern, it might be I'm not, nothing against Rob Herring, Cian Healy, Tom Clarkson. I'm just saying that I would say France overall have pound for pound 2 stronger front rows in their lineup. So we might be expecting, I mean, Porter is no stranger to a 70-minute shift, but we need him, Dan Sheehan, and Fiddley Bealham, because Ty Furlong obviously didn't quite make the cut for the weekend. We're going to need a lot. We might need 70 minutes out of those 3. And so there's that plus the 6-2 bench. We're taking a couple of risks on the injury front. Either way, we're going to need a clean first half injuries, but still it's all part of it, but we definitely can do it.
I'm really positive about it. I'm ready to go now. I'm going to call in sick for the rest of work. I'm going to start doing laps.
Anyway, lots of possibilities. Okay, so let's move on to France and have a quick look at their team. Many would have thought they'd have 3 wins in the bank like us at this stage, but a 1-point defeat in Twickenham took care of that. They kind of got that out of their system in Rome last week, though, or last time out after a shaky start, they ended up putting over 70 points on the Azzurri. How do you see the French lineup, Keego?
Well, look, the beauty if we're taking positives out of that game last week, France and Italy, or 2 weeks ago, it's not about points difference. It's win and or nothing. That's it. And like as you say, the front row is always massively impressive. Like you kind of look at our front row and they're big boys, but then you look at Antonio, who's got 25 kilos on our biggest people. So it's all about technique. It's all about running them around. I obviously 9 and 10. Everyone's going to talk about them forever. They're brilliant. I think the second row battle is going to be massive. So, if the front row is slightly in favor of France, which okay, in terms of weight, yes, in terms of technique, not so sure, but the second row is where the balance comes. So, we've got McCarthy and Byrne, and they've got big boys in there as well. They're big, lanky fellas. So it's going to be interesting to see how we mitigate that. So, it's I think McCarthy has a big job to do, but like France, like there's class everywhere. It is what it is. There's nothing unexpected there. Um, let's just go do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's a lot of talk about their forwards because the way they pick their bench. But I mean, you look at the
Yeah,
rest of that back line as well.
yeah.
Bill Barry, Peno, Ramos. Ramos don't have a bad day with the ref and the penalties. He's going to slot them over. There's a lot going on there. But on the other hand, they have taken a risk. If there's any kind of injuries, they have to go to their bench
Yeah.
early in the back line. That's things are going to get a little interesting now, and you'll see you'll see Big Mafu out in the wing or something like that by the end of the match. But anyway, listen, that's the French team there, and we'll move on to the officials now. It's Angus Gardner holding the whistle, and an all English team with them in the referees. And the weather for Dublin 4, you said it's supposed to rain a little bit, 57% chance of rain, 11 degrees, though mild enough, and not too much wind. So fingers crossed that the rain might stay away there. And now all that's left now is to look at the other matches this weekend. What one match stands out for you?
I think Scotland and Wales is just going to be an absolute scrap. And it's 4:45. I'm not a fan of 2:15 kickoffs. I think the earliest I can get loud is about 3 o'clock. So I'll be starting early, but Scotland Wales. I'm just looking here, 4:45, perfect time. And it's in Scotland as well. So we're gonna hear that anthem. We're gonna see that fella in the skirt at the top of the stadium playing the bagpipes. They do it really well on match day. And I think anytime Scotland and Wales are in it together, it's going to be a scrap. And it's going to be like, depending on what Wales show up, because they really did show up against us unexpectedly, and fair play to them. Now Scotland have to rethink the whole thing. So now they have to really put a shift in. They can't be messing around. Unlike, when Gatland was there and it wasn't working. It is obviously working now. They've found something in Wales. So it's going to be a great game to watch.
Yeah, I think our game kind of casts a long shadow over the other two in terms of when it comes to settling the championship and stuff. But that Scotland Wales does look interesting. I'd say you'd assume England would put Italy away pretty handily, but you can't really make any assumptions about England these days. It could go differently, but I think ours is definitely the big match of the weekend, that's for sure. And also this weekend you got the under-20s, of course. The Wolf Puppies are playing on Friday night. They're playing down at Virgin Media Park. That's on RTE2. So best of luck to them. In the women's, the Celtic Challenge comes to a conclusion this weekend. The title's still in line. Both Irish teams are going for the title. You've got the Clovers are playing over in Wales for their match kickoff at 12, and at 12:15, Wolfhounds play Edinburgh. Okay, listen, it's head on the block time, Keego. How do you see it going in the Aviva on
Oh,
Saturday?
Jeannie Mac. I think it's less than a score. I think
Oh yeah.
it's literally a kick in the game, and that's why it's edge of the seat stuff from minute one. Obviously outside of any cards or anything like that coming in, like it's 3 points either way for me. I think like it's 6 points at the most, two kicks. I don't think there's going to be a big difference in this game. I would love it if there was on one side, obviously, but
Mm.
I think it's Ireland +3, Ireland +6, nothing more than that.
It's Cup Rugby. Just get the win in the bag, like
Yeah.
you said. I don't worry about bonus points or anything like that. Just get the win. Okay, we're going to leave it there, man. Many thanks for joining us. What stand-up gigs do you have coming up?
So we're in the run into the Mill Theatre. We're already shifting tickets for that, which is going to be great. Going to sell out. So that's the 29th of March, and then the 28th of March we're back in the Dot Theatre for another show in town. So yeah, it's we're building up to that, but we've got to get through tomorrow first.
Exactly. Okay, brilliant. And you'll find all the links for El Keego stuff in the program notes. Okay, listen, many thanks to you all for checking out our latest preview show. If you can tune into Dublin South FM for the 5 o'clock news, you'll catch our latest Harpin segment there. Then be sure to enjoy the match wherever you are. Leave a comment on our Facebook page after the full-time whistle. We will, of course, have a wrap pod for you, which we'll record on Sunday night. Hopefully, you'll help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.